Hello, Grumpy Old Fart here. Uh, this is an odd video because I'm not sure exactly how I want to do this, but it's important and it needs to be talked about. You have in this country a segment of the population that is, I don't know, they feel that the government is out to get them. Some of them are white, some of them are black, some of them are Hispanic, some of them are, they're all over. They're all over the spectrum, every race, every skin color, and they usually have different reasons for it. And I want to say that our government, our nation, is beyond the petty racial bullshit. But then you read a story like this, and it kind of backs up what they say, And these people that did this were wrong. They were bad. They were very bad people. This situation took place in the Old South, but it wasn't. You can't use that as an excuse because the orders for this were coming from up north. There was. Excuse me a minute. Sorry, cat. At any rate, what I'm going to talk about here is the Tuskegee syphilis experiments. And you want to say that the government has your best interest at heart. You want to believe that. But then you look at this and you're thinking, how could they do that? Okay? Every place, and I'm going to illustrate this. Every place that you try to give the government an out, I can undermine that out. There is no excuse for this. None. Not one excuse that anybody can think of for this. You want to say, well, they were racist in the Old South. Yes, they were racist in the Old South. And clearly, some of these people that were doing this were racists. Some of them were not. Some of them were they weren't aware of the entire picture. Okay? And I'm going to try to get into some of that too. But there is a racist element to this. You cannot ignore it. So when a black person says, well, there's racism. Yes, there's racism. Okay? Let's not mince words. Racism does exist. I don't believe it's systemic in our nation today. But this is an example of some powerful people doing some bad things, and the only thing you can think of to explain it is racism. So you can't completely discount when the militant black people say, "Hey, they're out to get us." Well, apparently somebody is, and it's wrong, and I'm against it. I'm against this. Period. I want to make that perfectly clear. But if we don't talk about stuff like this, and again, I don't think anything like this is happening now. If it is, I'm unaware of it. And if it is, the people doing it need to be horsewhipped and then hung. That's my opinion. But I'm going to go through the history of this in case you don't know what happened. This thing started in 1932 and it went through 1972. Yes, that's 40 years, 4 decades, 40 years of this crap. Okay? It's the longest non-therapeutical experiment in U.S. history. Black men were lied to in order to get them to cooperate with this program. And what this program was they found people who had syphilis. And I don't know, I've heard that they were injected with syphilis, but I can't find any evidence to prove that they were actually injected with the syphilis. But treatment was definitely withheld. We know that. Instead of treating the disease, they chronicled the progress. They chronicled the progress of this until the subject died. Until somebody's got syphilis, a black guy has syphilis. They chronicle how it affects him while they pretending to give him treatments, but lying to them about these treatments. And they're chronicling, taking notes about how it affects them, and until they die. Okay. Now this video may be a little disjointed, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I didn't have time to really go through and I was doing a lot of research, and I didn't have time to actually sit down and plot out how I wanted to do this video. So bear with me on that. But the information I'm giving you here is prime. I found a number of good lecturers on it, and I cannot remember their names, but they have really good lectures on this. So basically, it started out as an effort to cure syphilis in black men in the South. So that was the beginnings of it. Okay, it's going to go bad here shortly, but this was the beginnings of it. One man, Farrago Clark, wanted a study of syphilis in black men. For some reason, he thought that it would react differently in black men than white men. Now, people say, well, there was a study of syphilis in white men in Oslo, and they weren't treated. And that's true. But it's a false equivalency because back when that study was done, the treatment for syphilis didn't exist. At the time, they were using mercury and a few other things. But that treatment didn't exist when they did this study in Oslo for syphilis in white men. So that's a false equivalency. They couldn't treat them anyway. So again, that was, they tried to ask an out, but no, I shot it right down. Okay. This moron Clark thought that syphilis would act differently in black men because he was a moron. He might very well have been a racist. I don't know. It might have been the prevailing wisdom of the time, being the racist South, that he said, well, maybe it react differently here than here. Let's see. And his plan, what he put forth, was a 6-month study. And he has 2 agents, Raymond A. Vanderleer and Oliver Clarence Wenger. Wenger. They went down and they were trying to get this set up for him. They set it up. Yeah, okay, they set up the study. And make sure I get my notes in the right order. So it sucks to get them out of order. Yeah, okay. They set up the study. And they told the doctors in the area not to treat these black men because they're part of the study. They lied to the black leaders and black physicians to get them to sign off on this study. They lied to the black nurses to get them to set up subjects, to get the subjects to come in. Because, you got a black nurse telling a black guy, hey, this is for your own good, he's going to believe it more. That's what it boils down to. It's sad and it sucks, but that's what they did. I'm not telling you, I'm not saying what they did was good, because it wasn't. It sucked. It was bad. I'm just trying to give you the information. And if anybody did this to anybody I know, I'd horsewhip them. If they were lucky. Anyway, get back to this. Okay, at the time, the guy Vanderleer wanted to extend the study. And the Clark guy refused. So he wanted to extend it further than 6 months, and Clark refused. Because a 6-month study, then you start treating the guys and blah, 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 blah. But shortly after that, Clark retired. And this guy Vanderleer succeeded him. So the study continued. As far as I can tell, 399 victims. And these are, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I messed up here. Okay, I skipped a page. Hang on. These young doctors in the medical profession would go down here and they would participate in this study. And they were told that, what we're doing down here, we're trying to cure the syphilis and blah, 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 blah. And it's a study we're doing, so you sign off on this, blah, blah, blah. And they went and did their thing. And all the doctors that were leaving it were saying it was a good thing because they weren't told the entire thing. They didn't know these black guys weren't, that it was a continuous thing and these black guys weren't going to receive treatment. They weren't told that. Okay? So a lot of physicians went down there and they said, oh, hey, it's a good program. We're doing some good work down here. That's what they thought. But that obviously that's not the case, because this study kept getting signed off on. It kept going on for 40 years because doctors would go down there and they would see the study and they think it's a good thing. And then the medical profession, the health people or whatever, they would promote from within. So the doctors that went down there and saw that it was a good program would now take over. Oh, yeah, you get the folder. Oh, this is a good program. I did this, and they'd sign off on it. So it kept going for 40 years. Okay? And there's no excuse for this crap. There's just no excuse. Now, in my opinion, the guys to blame for this are Teleferro Clark and Raymond Vonderleer. And then there's another guy, John R. Heller, who succeeded Vanderleer. Okay. These are the guys I think that are pretty well responsible for it because they ran the thing and they. Now Clark didn't want to go past the 6 months, so that's his only saving grace. But starting the thing is stupid in the first place, so you can't. You got to give the guy credit for only wanting to do a 6-month study. But that being said, when he retired, Vanderleer took over and just kept it going. So you got 40 years of this crap. The reason they found out about it, there was a whistleblower named Peter Buxton. And it took him 4 years to finally make people stop it. It took him 4 years of trying to do this stuff. They had 399 victims. And, every one of them's an American. I don't care what color they are. They're Americans, period. Just like you and me, they're Americans. Institutional racism means that the institution condones it. America did not condone this. Let me explain. When the whistleblower found out about it, and he finally got people to pay attention and listen to what was going on, and get them to, they tried to sweep it under the rug and make excuses and this and that. But no, the government came down on them hard and made them stop. Now, I don't know who got punished or how bad they got punished, but they should have been. So I don't know. It was the government at large did not condone this study. This was not done. The entire federal government, the president didn't say, yes, we can do this study because they're black. No, that didn't happen. So it's not institutional racism. But it's about as close to institutional racism as you can get. I mean, this was as bad as it gets. Allowing people to die of a disease that you could cure, especially after penicillin came out in the 40s. Allowing people to die of a disease that you can cure as a doctor violates your Hippocratic Oath. The first rule of the Hippocratic Oath is do no harm. What the hell do you think this was? This was asinine stupid. There's no excuse for this. I've been working, I've had the material for this video for a week and I was trying to figure out how to do it in my head, to write out how to do this. And the only thing I could think of to do is tell the story. So I did. That's the story of this. Like I said, the American government at large did not condone this experiment. This experiment was done in an underhanded manner, and they hid it from the government at large. So this was not technically institutional racism, but it may as well have been because the people doing it were from the government. Okay? Institutional racism means the government condones it. It's part of the governmental, process. And that's not the case. That didn't happen here. The people who did this were evil sons of bitches. They all need to be horsewhipped and hung, my opinion. Now that being said, when they found out about it, they made them stop, and I want to say they gave out some compensation for this, but how do you give compensation for 40 years of that bullshit? I'm sorry, that's wrong. I'm going to try to find out if people went to jail for this, and if they didn't, why they didn't, but they should have been. So, you want to. You want to give people the benefit of the doubt. But how do you give people like this, that would do this to another human being, the benefit of the doubt? How do you do that? I can't see that. The death penalty, capital punishment exists for a reason. And these people worked hard, buddy, and they earned it. They earned it. I can't do anything about it. All I can do is make people aware. But if you're a black person and the government says, hey, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, remember this. They may very well be there to help. I don't think there's institutional racism, but just be aware. Because this actually did happen. It did, in fact, happen from 1932 to 1972. This stuff was going on. And like I said, it's technically not institutional racism, but it may as well have been. So, This, I'm sorry, that's not America. That's not what America's supposed to be. Okay? I got a lot of black friends, and some of them I've known for more than 40 years. And I love the hell out of all of them. I love them. They're good, solid people. And if one of them had been involved in something like this, I'd be in jail. Because of what I do to those doctors. That's me. At any rate, this is just sick. And anybody who would condone something like this is just sick. Sorry, I didn't want this to be such a heart-wrenching video, but there's no way to talk about this and it not be. At any rate, look, to all my friends out there, every single one of you, regardless of color, I love the hell out of all of you. Family, friends, all of you. I love all of you. Okay? And if you're black, yes, I love you too. You're good people. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.